Hello everybody and welcome back to Cinematic Venom, and today is the 1 year anniversary of this series. Yeah, I can't believe it, 25th of July 2016, the 1001 movies you must see before you die. I started with this book, now onto this one. Can't believe it's been a year, the most popular series on this channel. I cannot thank you guys enough for your support. I'm really glad that this series has been so well received. So thank you for that. And it just seemed right that for the 1 year anniversary, 1 year later, we go back to the very first episode that started it all, The Godfather. So today, we're looking at The Godfather Part 2.
Let's cut out the bullshit. I don't want to spend any more time here than I have to.
Following the events of the first film, Michael Corleone, despite them again not being able to decide how to pronounce it.
Corleone.
It's not difficult. Corleone or Corleone. Make up your mind. Played once again by Al Pacino, is now the don of his crime family. After a party, because it wouldn't be a Godfather movie without one, he survives an assassination attempt, and for some reason they let him stand around here for about 3 days before actually firing, but you don't really care because it looks awesome, and he decides that they have to move. He blames one of his business partners, Hyman Roth, for the attack, and during the deception and murder attempts, we get several flashbacks to Vito Corleone, Michael's father, to see his tragic history. Ouch! Growing up to become Robert De Niro, Michael becomes more and more of a murderous douchebag, ultimately losing his wife, who even aborts their child without his knowledge, and we end with a reunion of the first film's cast, but no Marlon Brando because the arrogant prick was supposed to show up for that one single day shoot and he couldn't even commit to that, claiming that he was unhappy with how they had treated him during the first one's production. Oh, you mean like a god, while they treated Pacino like shit?
I don't know what you're talking about.
And we then end with Michael realising that his entire life has gone to hell. Originally, Francis Ford Coppola refused to direct this picture himself. The first one was such a nightmare to make that he stepped aside as producer and asked Martin Scorsese to direct instead, but the studio refused. Coppola finally agreed to do it, but only after they gave him almost complete control over the script, which he claimed made production run a lot smoother. However, it almost didn't, as Al Pacino's lawyers told him not long before shooting began that he was unhappy with the script and he wasn't showing up. Coppola went over the screenplay and in a single night rewrote it, sent it back to Pacino, who accepted, and the shoot went ahead. It wasn't any easier though, as throughout production Pacino demanded more money constantly and always criticised Coppola for the film's slow pacing and his many takes. Thank God he didn't work with Kubrick.
I'd take that as an insult.
Paramount were also unkeen to greenlight the film, as they assumed audiences would just not be interested to see a story that they'd already witnessed, but Coppola fought to get it done and won. However, just a few weeks before its release, critics and journalists called it a disaster, claiming that the cutting between Michael's and Vito's stories taking place simultaneously was just too confusing, and they didn't give the audience enough time to receive that much of an impression. It's a 3.5 hour movie!
I despise you, Masquerade.
This actually led to Coppola and his editors reworking the story, but it could not be done in time, so some of the opening scenes are still sloppily paced. Originally, the film got mixed reception. Some dismissed it entirely, whereas others called it better than the first one. Many praised its cinematography and acting performances, but others slammed its slow pacing and called the plot convoluted. It's stitched together from leftover parts. It talks, it moves in fits and starts, but it has no mind of its own. The plot defies any rational synopsis. The flashbacks give Coppola the greatest difficulty in maintaining his pace and narrative force. The story of Michael, told chronologically and without the other material, would have a really substantial impact, but Coppola prevents our complete involvement by breaking the tension. Though Pacino is tremendous and Coppola is a master of mood, atmosphere and period, the chronological shifts of its narrative are a structural weakness from which the film never recovers.
He hated those son of a bitches more than I did.
Over the years, however, it received a lot more recognition, regarded as one of the greatest films ever, better than its predecessor. Ebert later ranked it a full 4 stars in his great movies list and called it grippingly written, directed with confidence and artistry, photographed by Gordon Willis in rich, warm tones. Sight and Sound listed it as the 9th greatest movie ever in 1992, but then a decade later it moved up to 2nd place. Entertainment Weekly picked it as 7th, and TV Guide ranked it as 1st. Al Pacino was nominated for a Best Actor Academy Award, and the ceremony was slammed for Art Carney winning it instead. Premiere even listed it as the 20th best performance in history, and Total Film put it as 4th.
You heard what happened in my home?
Mike, I almost died myself, but was also relieved.
In my home! In my bedroom where my wife sleeps! Where my children come and play with their toys.
The movie wasn't as big of a financial success as the original, but it did gross $47.5 million, picking up Academy Awards for Best Picture. Only one of 2 sequels to ever win Best Picture, by the way. The other one obviously being Return of the King.
Huh?
Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Robert De Niro, which is fitting because Marlon Brando won one for the exact same role in the previous film. Best Adapted Screenplay, despite hardly any of the film actually being from the book. Literally, only a tiny part of Vito's backstory was actually from the novel. Best Art Direction and a BAFTA for Al Pacino. The AFI selected The Godfather Part 2 as the 32nd best movie ever. Michael was the 11th rated villain. The famous line,
"Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer,"
as the 58th greatest quote. Oh, so that's where that line came from. I bet most people don't even realise.
I don't know nothing about that.
And the 3rd greatest gangster film of all time. Oh, and in 2009 there's a video game about it, but who cares? And I didn't really like this one. I'm sorry.
I don't like your kind of people.
I loved the first one and consider it a masterpiece. It focused on Michael's transformation from a decent guy not wanting his family's life to becoming his father's second in command. It was an interesting transition, great action, subtle filmmaking techniques, a bit slow paced but not really boring until the ending drag, astounding performances, but Godfather Part 2 is boring as piss. I'm sorry, I just get the feeling I'm going to say that a lot.
I don't understand.
This film focuses on a traitor trying to kill Michael, but honestly, it's just snooze-worthy for so much of the movie. Much like Ben-Hur, it's 3.5 hours long and it didn't need to be. The first Godfather was 3 hours, and although I felt some of it could have been trimmed, there was no point where I begged for the credits. The length was mostly warranted. Here it's just boring. It's talking the movie, and unlike its predecessor, the talking isn't interesting, it just drags. The plot pulls up a chair and drinks a few beers before proceeding on its journey, and it's a real shame. I went into this with such high expectations, wanting to love it, but it's just there. It's not really a bad movie, don't get me wrong. I mean, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are both fantastic, as is the supporting cast. The musical score is ominous and well orchestrated. The direction is still decent, though I feel not as adventurous or inventive as the first. The effects and bloody imagery are still great. Some of the shots are eerie and fit the tone. The lighting complements it all perfectly, and the dialogue is incredibly well written.
You're nothing to me now. You're not a brother. You're not a friend. I don't want to know you or what you do. I don't want to see you at the hotels. I don't want you near my house. When you see our mother, I want to know a day in advance so I won't be there. You understand?
This scene of him talking to his daughter is quite touching.
What about my boy?
Wait, that's a boy? Shit, my bad.
You believe that?
This bald guy speaks English for the most part. I still can barely understand him most of the time.
I gotta check on my boy.
What?
Bring out the peppers and sardines.
Huh? Oh, he's dead, thank God. This dude looks like Dave Bautista in a hat, and this guy like Shia LaBeouf. And despite the great dialogue, there's some crappy ones too.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
You're breaking my heart.
Was it a boy?
Mikey, up to 3.5 months.
Now can't you give me a straight answer anymore?
Did it have a dick or not?
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says.
Just because I yell it means I'm a good actor? It ain't the way I wanted it. Got Parkinson's or some shit. There's literally a scene where somebody gets shot and then it transitions to a cheering crowd. Bit harsh, celebrating the fact that a man just got shot dead. But then again, it'd probably be the same reaction if Will Walker was murdered.
Nobody else could catch one except me. You know how I did it? Every time I put the line in the water, I said a Hail Mary.
Every time he catches a fish, he has to sing a Tupac song. Collapse. You gonna go? It's kind of what happens when you get shot. There you go.
This is my stepbrother, Tom. That's his girl, Teresa.
It's pronounced Teresa. There's also an issue that I had with the first film as well. The Italian scenes have no subtitles. Now, I've heard people tell me that the Blu-ray have the actual subtitles for the Italian scenes. But I've got the DVD, and they're not on there. And Jimmy's had the same issues. Jimmy said he's never seen a version with the English subtitles. Now, this wasn't too big of an issue in the first film, but here, 90% of the movie is in fucking Italian. I had to look up the plot just to find out what on earth was going on. It's a game of what the fuck are they saying? I guess I'll just have to make up my own subtitles and guess.
Ragione hai io. Sogno conto di moneta. Che vuoi? Accomora sogno senza tabaglio. Vedo sto picciolo di scagli. Tutto io taglio con buona moneta.
Now you're probably thinking, why don't I just put the DVD subtitles on? But the issue there is I'll then be having them on for when they speak English, which will be really fucking annoying, so then I'll be turning them off and on and off and on, and I'll be basically watching the movie like this!
Perché non si può calare.
Oh, Italian, you just subtitles there.
Eppure figlio mio Ranni, Paolo.
One by one, our old friends are gone.
Oh no, the English, turn them back off, sorry.
I cose vanno malamente.
Oh, here we go.
A mia mi pare magari malo, irritevole.
It's already 3.5 hours, and having to do that would slow down the process even more, and I'm now in a jigsaw trap of an obstacle course just to watch a fucking movie. I thought maybe I could cheat the system and just use media player subtitles so it's just a click away. But that don't fucking work! This is sadistic. How am I supposed to enjoy the movie?
Ide si sbarazzati da besci che cos'ha tutto sto casino. E allora? E perché non può stare? Non posso. E perché? Non posso. Ma voi siete siciliano? No, sono calabrese io.
Yeah, I agree.
Sir, this man does not understand English.
That's fine, just show them this fucking movie, they barely speak it! My issue isn't necessarily the lack of subtitles on my version, because as explained, there are subbed versions out there. But my problem is, why the fuck do these versions even exist? Why do there exist films for English speakers with no Italian subtitles, you fucking morons? You can't even be consistent, have English there, Italian there, but don't fucking subtitle either of them! 2 films in a row and you can't fix a simple thing, and you probably did it for part 3 as well!
I don't want to hear about it!
But the main problem is the sheer length. Despite the occasional decent line or scene, it drags and it never seems to fucking end. Seriously, I started watching this film when I was 7. And it's still playing.
I came here because there's going to be more bloodshed. I want you to know about it before it happens so that there's no danger of starting another war.
Nobody wants another war.
Frank Pantangeli came to my home, and he asked my permission to get rid of the Rosado brothers.
Literally, the movie never ends. I mean, this film started production before Boyhood. Yeah, Boyhood was being made. It took 12 years to make, and Boyhood came out, and this film is still playing.
Jesus Christ, look, let's get them all. Let's hit them all now while we got the muscle.
Tom Holland will die of old age before this movie stops playing.
And I know that I could not have hurt that girl.
Literally, oh look, just watch me watch this movie and you'll see the effects.
He wants to turn over the things he's been blessed with. Turn them over to friends. As a reward for the friends he's had. And to make sure that everything goes well after he's gone.
Not for years.
Anybody I know in Havana?
No, Hyman Roth, Johnny Ola.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more, I'm reviewing every film in the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die 2016 edition book. So make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with them and also turn on notifications to be alerted for each episode. You can vote for which film to be reviewed next at the link in the description. What do you think of The Godfather Part 2? Let me know about it in the comments below and I'll see you in the next video.
Did you get him something for Christmas?
I took care of it.
What was it, so I'll know?